Hey guys, tonight we're venturing somewhere warm, soft, and moonlit. A sleepy stretch of golden desert where the sand glows with a faint blush and the breeze smells like old parchment and honeyed dates. Out here, past the last sleepy caravan and beyond the dunes that sway like waves, there's a temple. Not just any temple, but a resting place of secrets, of myths too drowsy to be remembered properly, and of a turtle who guards it all by doing absolutely nothing. Just napping. Endlessly. You probably won't survive this, at least not with your eyes open. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And tell me in the comments where you're listening from and what time it is. This temple loves knowing the hour you began to drift. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. The desert arrives slowly. It's not the kind of place you rush into. It unfolds beneath your bare feet, warm and silken, like someone upended the world's largest hourglass and let time trickle out into tiny granules. You wade through dunes as if you're moving through memory. Each step is muffled. Each breath tastes faintly of cardamom and old lullabies. Above you, the sky stretches like painted velvet. The moon is not round tonight. It's shaped like a sleepy grin, tilting just so, as if amused by the idea of staying awake. Stars shimmer drowsily, some blinking slower than others, some gently sliding behind night curtains. In the far distance, there's a shimmer, a long, flat gleam like a silver leaf resting atop the sand. That, you sense, is your destination. A temple that no map dares mark. Some say it appears only when you forget you're looking for it. Others claim it's always there, just too polite to intrude unless invited by wariness. As you walk, your footprints fade behind you, not from wind or magic, but because this is a place that doesn't believe in keeping things. The desert forgets your path on purpose, so you won't be tempted to go back, and yet it remembers your name. The air begins to change. It carries a low hum, soft, harmonic, and oddly cozy, like a lullaby sung through a reed flute. You follow the sound, and the sand beneath your feet starts to firm ever so slightly, like pressed silk. Then you see it. A low, sprawling structure rises from the dunes, not tall and proud like other temples, but wide and welcoming. Its edges are curved, not sharp. Its roof is domed with polished sandstone, glowing like warm butter under moonlight. Instead of spires, there are thick woven tapestries fluttering gently, strung from pillar to pillar like sleepy flags. You expect heavy stone doors, maybe a grand entrance, but there are none. Just sheer curtains of twilight blue hanging in place of walls, billowing slowly in the breeze. They part on their own as you approach, sighing open like they've been waiting. And the smell. It's the first thing that truly anchors you. Somewhere between warm almonds, chamomile, and that fuzzy part of your memory where naps in your grandmother's arms once lived. It smells like trust. Inside, you find no statues, no altars, just cushions. Hundreds of them, strewn across mosaic tiles in colors that feel too soft to name. There are lanterns, too, floating lazily midair, glowing with light that isn't quite yellow or white, but somewhere in between, like firelight filtered through daydreams. And in the heart of it all lies the turtle. You almost miss him at first. He blends in so well with the cushions, curled in such a perfect spiral that he could be part of the decor. But then he breathes, a slow, thunderous inhale that makes the hanging lanterns sway, and his shell shifts, revealing patterns unlike any you've seen. Not natural scutes or ridges, but starlight, swirling galaxies. One side of his shell bears Orion's belt, but only 3 stars. Another shows a tiny moon waxing and waning in real time. He does not open his eyes. He doesn't need to. This is his temple. Some say he was placed here by the Sandwind sisters, a trio of whispering demigoddesses who believed that true strength comes not from force, but from rest. Others claim the turtle came on his own, from a land far below the ocean floor, dragging the temple behind him like a child with a blanket. No one really knows. What they do know is this: nothing bad ever happens here. Not while the turtle sleeps. That's the deal, apparently. If he ever truly wakes, it folds itself up and disappears like a closed book. But as long as he naps, the desert stays calm. No storms, no marauders, no mischief. Just sand, time, and the occasional visitor like you, too curious or too tired to resist wandering in. Some say the moon grants wishes here, but only if you whisper them while the turtle is dreaming. and never allowed. If you speak them clearly, the wind forgets them on purpose. You find yourself a cushion, one that smells faintly of fresh baked bread and rosewater, and settle down just a few paces from the great guardian. You don't speak. It feels wrong to speak here. Even your breath starts syncing with the slow rhythm of the turtles. Inhale, pause, exhale, drowse. You don't know how long you stay like this. Time doesn't pass in the temple. It stretches, yawns. Sometimes it even takes a nap too. Just as your eyes begin to flutter closed, you hear something. A faint, contented rumble, like a kettle just starting to boil, coming from the turtle's throat. He's dreaming now, and the temple hums along with him. The curtains behind you murmur in the breeze like old storytellers trading gossip, and you rise. Not fully, just enough to keep your body slow and the silence unbroken. The turtle remains curled in the same spiral, his starlit shell pulsing gently, casting soft, moving patterns onto the tiles around him. You take one more step forward, then another, and find yourself drawn toward the inner sanctum of the temple. There are no guards, no walls, no doors, only space that feels increasingly deeper. You pass under a wooden arch carved with sleepy runes, squiggles shaped like yawns and spirals that loop back on themselves. Beyond the arch lies something curious, an open chamber with no roof, only sky. The floor is layered with soft rugs stitched in concentric circles, and the air smells of sandalwood and baked apricots. What's missing, conspicuously, is any kind of entrance, or exit, or even hinges. The room is doorless, just openings. Curtains float where walls might be. Some are drawn back. Others flutter like half-forgotten dreams, teasing glimpses of more chambers beyond. But not one single door. You brush your fingers along one of the curtains, and it instantly warms at your touch. Like it recognizes you, or perhaps it's simply polite. You step through, and just like that, you're in a new space. A round, sunken room filled with low couches shaped like sleeping clouds. Hanging above are bundles of dried herbs, lavender, lemon balm, and something dusky you can't name. On one wall, a spiral of sand trickles endlessly down a tilted slab of amber glass. There's no sound of water, no ticking clock, only the hush of sand remembering how to fall. A temple without doors, you begin to realize, isn't vulnerable. It's trusting. Everything inside flows like a dream. Soft transitions, whispered edges, barely there thresholds. There's no need to lock anything in or out. You can only enter if you're already halfway dreaming. That's the myth, anyway. Some say the temple was once a palace, cursed by a wandering moon who envied how solid it looked. So she loosened the palace's seams, unwove its bricks into wind and story, and left only what was soft enough to be part of a nap. Others say the place was always this way, built by sleepwalkers and drowsy architects who couldn't quite remember how walls worked. As you move from chamber to chamber, you start to see the pattern. Every room is shaped by comfort. Some are filled with rocking chairs carved from driftwood, slowly swaying though no one sits in them. Others hold great mounds of pillows sewn from cloud fleece and memory threads. In one hallway, you spot a hammock big enough for 10 people, suspended between two whispering fig trees that somehow grow indoors. The temple doesn't ask where you're from, it only asks if you've rested lately. Eventually, you reach what must be the heart of the temple, a vast open courtyard under the stars, encircled by stone columns wrapped in vines that only bloom at night. There, in the very center, rests something most peculiar, a fountain without water. Instead, a steady stream of sand trickles upward, from a shallow basin on the ground into a floating hourglass suspended midair. The hourglass never fills, it simply swirls, eternally, almost full. And next to it, a plaque, weathered by time and moonlight. You crouch down to read it, and the letters shimmer as you focus. Here, time is counted not by hours, but by how long you've been kind to yourself. You blink, then you notice it. The temple's corners do not meet at 90 degrees. Its halls spiral, its rooms nest, its spaces fold gently into one another like a dream you almost remember upon waking. The architecture doesn't make sense, not if you're wide awake. But to a mind softened by sleep, it's perfect. As you lean against a column and gaze up at the constellations, strangely similar to those on the turtle's shell, you begin to wonder, how long has the turtle been here? Years? Centuries? Epochs? Some say the turtle has never moved, that the desert formed around him, and the temple simply grew where the naps were deepest. Others claim he wanders at night while still asleep, dragging dreams behind him like a long tail. A priest once followed his trail for 3 nights and claimed he reached the edge of the world, where sand turned into stardust. Then again, that same priest also tried to marry a breeze, so you take the story with a pinch of enchanted salt. Still, the turtle must dream vividly. You feel it in the very walls, the way the columns hum gently when you touch them, the way the shadows stretch too slowly, like they're reluctant to leave. Even the moon hangs lower here, closer, as if she too wants to nap by his side. Just as you're about to lie down again on a cushion that seems to have grown out of the stone itself, you hear a whisper. Not a voice exactly, but a kind of breath made of old parchment and sleeping grass. It says, "The temple never locks its doors. It has no need." You look around. No one's there. Just you, the moon, and the turtle's steady dreaming. You lie back, gaze softening, and the ceiling melts away to reveal the endless night sky above. Somewhere beyond, a camel bell rings softly in the dark, 3 chimes, then silence. You let your eyes close again. The temple exhales. You wake. Not fully, not truly. It's that kind of in-between waking where your body hasn't caught up yet, and your breath still matches the rhythm of someone else's dream. Around you, the temple is quiet, but not silent. There's always that hush of lullabies echoing faintly through the stone, as if the building itself breathes. You sit up slowly and notice something new. A glow, soft and low to the ground, flickering near the temple's outer courtyard. It isn't fire. It's cooler than that. Gentle blues and greens swirl like rippling water, even though the desert is dry for 1,000 miles in any direction. You follow the glow, stepping over scatterings of tiny pebbles shaped like commas, each one warm to the touch. The path leads you back to where the turtle sleeps, or rather, where he was sleeping. He's still there, of course, still curled, still breathing in that deep glacial rhythm, but his shell is no longer still. It's moving, slowly, silently, shifting its own stars. You stare as constellations slide across his back. One forms, then dissolves. A new one takes its place. Some familiar, the hunter, the heron, the desert crown. Others are stranger, a sleeping bell, a fish with a candle for a tail, a teacup balanced on a ladder. And then, an image you've never seen in any night sky before. A turtle curled in sleep under a domed temple just like this one. You laugh softly. It's too perfect, too circular, and exactly what this place would do. But as you gaze closer, the patterns begin to move again, and it dawns on you. This turtle's shell doesn't hold one night sky. It holds all of them. Every star map from every culture, every forgotten constellation whispered by lost tribes and passing clouds. Some so old they predate names. Others that have yet to be seen. Some say this turtle was born in the time before dreams, a mythical age when the sky had no stars and the earth was bored. According to desert legend, the turtle climbed the tallest dune in existence, yawned once, and from that yawn came the stars, bright and curious, eager to fill the sky and follow him home. That's why the sky always seems to rotate gently around his back. It's returning the favor. A sleepy breeze carries the scent of cooling milk and star anise as you sit beside him. A small moth lands gently on your arm. Its wings are transparent but shimmer with soft dots, stars again. Always stars. You reach out and rest a hand on the turtle's shell. The moment you do, the entire courtyard shifts, not with noise, but with feeling. A strange sensation pools under your skin, like someone pouring warm tea through your bones. Images fill your mind, not your memories, but someone else's, or something else's. You see a slow journey across a golden desert, the turtle dragging the temple behind him like a hermit crab with an ornate house. He pauses to nap under palm groves beside oases within the drifting shade of tall dunes. Every time he naps, a new wall of the temple forms around him, woven from mirage, built from warmth, stitched with patience. The turtle guards the temple, yes, but not from danger. He guards it from rush. Because the desert doesn't fear invaders. It fears haste. It fears the fast talkers, the busy wanderers, the ones who cross its sands without listening. And so the turtle sleeps, a living reminder that all things, especially temples and dreams, should arrive slowly. As you release your hand from his shell, the images fade. Your eyes wander upward. And that's when you notice something even more peculiar. The stars above the real sky, the one outside the turtle's shell, have shifted to match the ones on his back. Almost perfectly. It's as though the heavens are imitating him, not the other way around. A sleepy theory drifts through your mind. Perhaps the turtle isn't mapping the stars. Perhaps he's making them. That would explain the old saying among the sand singers, when the turtle sleeps, a new star dreams itself into the sky. A bit whimsical, perhaps. But isn't everything in this place? You stretch, bones cracking softly like ancient scrolls, and glance around. Lanterns float lower now, casting more intimate pools of light. The wind has slowed to a gentle puff. Somewhere nearby, you hear the soft clink of wind chimes, though no one touches them. You sit beside the turtle for a while longer. Not talking, not thinking, just being. The desert approves. Somewhere between 2 blinks and a slow breath, you find yourself no longer beside the turtle, but further into the temple, as if the walls themselves carried you inward on a sigh. No footsteps, no memory of rising. But now you stand within a new chamber, one shaped like a spiraling conch shell, echoing with the softest hum, so soft you wonder if it's simply your own thoughts, drawn out long and low like a lullaby hummed by the architecture. The chamber is dimly lit by bowls of glowing sand that emit no heat, only a pearly gleam. You run your fingers through one gently. The grains are fine as whispers, and every pinch releases a scent: vanilla, sandalwood, and something else, the scent of old paper left in the sun. Etched into the walls in a looping, drowsy script are words you almost recognize but can't quite read. The letters squirm lazily, rearranging themselves if you stare too long. They're not meant for alert minds. These are bedtime scriptures, legible only to the almost asleep. Still, the meaning seeps in. These are not prayers. They are instructions for napping. Not advice, not rules. Rituals. You trace your hand over one of the lines and a whisper echoes back, not in sound but in feeling. It tells of the yawn rollers, a guild of travelers who wandered the world collecting perfect nap conditions. Their records, now carved into these walls, describe things like the optimal rock angle for shade naps, or humidity ratios for sleep beneath palm fronds. It is said they once charted the wind's lullabies in different regions and could identify over 1,000 types of sleepy breezes. In fact, one of the carvings claims, if a traveler naps beneath a mirth wind for precisely 18 minutes, they will dream of their favorite childhood snack and taste it upon waking. You chuckle. That's the kind of wisdom only dreamers would pursue. And you believe it somehow. Everything here invites belief, not by proving itself, but by being too gentle to resist. You move deeper into the conch-shaped chamber and find, at the center, a round dais surrounded by cushions shaped like citrus fruits, plump lemons, sleepy oranges, and a single dozing pomegranate. Resting atop the dais is a thick book, its cover made of soft leather that smells faintly of cedar and cocoa. There is no lock. You open it. The pages do not contain words. Instead, they hold feelings, pressed like flowers, a nap beneath rain, the joy of toes buried in warm sand, the hush that follows a perfectly timed sigh. Each page releases a puff of memory. Not yours, not the temple's, but perhaps the turtle's? One page smells like sunlit fabric, another like your grandmother's garden at dusk. You close the book with care. There's no need to read further. You already feel as though you've inhaled a week's worth of peace. As you rise from the cushions, you notice something curious. Along the inner shell wall of the chamber are tiny windows shaped like half-closed eyes. Through each one, a different view appears, not of this desert, but of other places. A field of blue grass where moths sing lullabies. A canyon where sand pours upward like golden smoke. A giant lily pad floating through twilight skies with someone napping under a bell jar. Each window is impossibly real, impossibly far, and yet you feel certain you could step through at any moment if you only blinked the right way. You lean close to one window shaped like a drowsy cat's eye and see something unmistakable. The turtle himself, napping as always, but in a different temple, this one made entirely of driftwood and sea glass, floating on a slow-moving tide. A sleepy laugh escapes your lips. Of course he's there, too. Some say the turtle doesn't live in one place, but in all the versions of this temple that ever dreamed themselves into existence. Each one holds a slightly different nap. And the turtle? He visits them all, like a librarian of dozing spaces, checking in on the stacks of silence. As you turn from the window, the air in the room grows thicker, softer, as if padded by feathers. A pale mist begins to roll in, curling around your ankles and carrying the scent of crushed chamomile. The walls shimmer, the cushions sigh, and you feel something large moving again, not outside but beneath you. The temple is shifting, not with haste, but like a ship caught in a slow dream tide. A whisper from the runes on the wall flickers through your mind. This temple never stays still for long. It only naps in place. You take a deep breath and let the motion rock you. It's not unsettling. It's anchoring somehow, like a cradle sway. The kind of movement that tells you everything is fine, and always has been. Before long, you find yourself curling up on a mandarin-shaped pillow, just for a moment, just to blink slowly, just to rest your eyes. The mist swirls gently around you, and somewhere beyond, the turtle keeps dreaming. When your eyes open again, or rather, when they decide to be open, you find yourself in a garden that shouldn't exist in a place like this. There's no roof above, but the sky is filtered through silken curtains of warm cloud, suspended low like the hem of a giant's robe. Pale lavender light suffuses everything. The air is heavy with the perfume of sleeping flowers. The garden spreads out in gentle spirals. No sharp angles. Every path curves like a yawn mid-sentence. Bushes shaped like sheep snooze beside pools of warm glass water. Giant mushrooms, wide as beds, tilt slightly under their own coziness. The trees, well, they hum, not with birdsong, but with something lower, softer. A kind of leafy purr. At the center of this botanical lullaby rests a fountain, but not the kind you know. This one doesn't burble or splash. It sighs. Its waters rise and fall in slow, breath-like motions, drawing in silence and exhaling the sound of distant flute music. Notes so stretched and lazy, they melt before reaching your ears. You stroll toward the fountain, feet brushing over petals that giggle faintly at your passing. One flower, pale pink and utterly star-shaped, releases a puff of dream smoke as you disturb it. You sneeze. The flower apologizes in a very small voice and immediately falls asleep again. You're not alone here. You spot other beings scattered through the garden, each in some stage of nap or near nap. A lion with a monocle dozes in a hammock strung between two lemon trees. A child with dragonfly wings floats 3 inches off the ground, snoring bubbles that pop into tiny lullabies. Even the statues seem drowsy, their marble eyelids half lowered, their expressions fixed in permanent mid-snooze. Then you see it again, that familiar dome of a shell. The turtle rests beneath a tree shaped like an umbrella, its leaves translucent and tinged with mint green. He doesn't notice you. At least, not in any way that requires opening an eye or moving a toe. But something in the breeze tells you he knows you're there. And that's enough. You settle beside him, leaning against a cushion made of woven vines and soft seed pods. They make the shuff-shuff sound of a gentle brush every time you move. Nearby, a snail the size of a suitcase crawls by, leaving behind a shimmering trail that smells like old sugar and childhood. You wonder, not for the first time, how the turtle ended up with this garden in his temple. And just then, a small book flutters down from the tree above. Yes, flutters, like a feathered bird. It lands softly in your lap. Its cover bears no title. But when you open it, a story unfurls, slowly, of course, like tea leaves in warm water. It tells of a time when the turtle was younger. Not fast, never that, but less thoroughly committed to napping. Back then, he wandered the desert with a purpose. To find the place where dreams were planted. He believed dreams grew like seeds, and that some forgotten garden was hiding them all. He searched for decades, centuries maybe. Time gets blurry when you never hurry. Eventually, after outwaiting sandstorms, sidestepping impatient gods, and politely ignoring the invitations of noisy travelers, he found this place, the very garden you sit in now. It was not hidden. It was merely still. So still, in fact, that no one noticed it unless they slowed their hearts enough to match its pulse. The turtle did, and the garden welcomed him in. From that day forward, the garden and the temple became one, twining their roots and stones together until they breathed the same sigh. Some say the flowers here bloom in sync with the dreams of those who nap near them. Others whisper that the turtle's snores cause the trees to grow sideways, forever leaning towards sleep. You close the book and rest it beside you. In front of the fountain, a frog in pajamas plucks at a harp made of spider silk. You hadn't noticed him before, but then again, that seems to be the way of things here. Everything reveals itself only when it's ready, and never a second before. You lay back. The scent of honeysuckle wraps around your nose like a shawl. The sky above shifts slightly, becoming a richer shade of indigo, and the turtle lets out a snore so profound, so deep and echoing, that nearby flowers bow their heads in respect. A curious thought creeps across your drowsy mind. What if the turtle isn't guarding the temple at all? What if the naps are the guardians? What if stillness itself is what protects this place, like a dream too soft to disturb, like a story too cozy to interrupt? You don't try to answer the question. You just close your eyes and let it drift. You awaken, if it can be called that, to the gentle tickle of sand shifting beneath you. Not harsh or dry, but silken, as though the grains themselves have forgotten how to scratch. The garden is gone now, replaced by an open colonnade lined with sleepy arches and soft tapestries that ripple without wind. Each column is carved with scenes of drowsy heroism, a warrior taking a nap mid-battle and waking to find the war had politely ended itself. A sorceress who only casts spells while sleepwalking, her enchantments more beautiful than any crafted awake. A bard whose lullabies could convince even thunderclouds to take the day off. You rise slowly, stretching limbs that feel unusually well rested. Time here does not measure itself in hours, but in contentment. A nap, a blink, a sigh, they're all equally valid units of experience. Beyond the colonnade lies a wide platform made of glassy stone, warm beneath your feet. At its center is a massive sundial, but its shadow moves too slowly to follow. It rotates not by the sun, but by mood, more art than measurement. Next to it, the turtle naps on. This time, he's wearing something. A shawl? No, it's a blanket woven from dreams. Thin and almost translucent, it glimmers with scenes from other people's sleep. A child riding a giant goose through a sky of marshmallow puffs, a pair of old friends floating down a stream made of syrup, a dragon dozing under a mushroom and being gently rained on by tea leaves. The blanket shifts with the turtle's breath, revealing more dreamy threads with each exhale. You approach and notice a small inscription at the base of the sundial. It reads, "He who guards by sleeping teaches the world to rest." A tale drifts to mind, one you might have heard in a caravan or from a tired librarian with ink-stained fingers. It tells of the Order of the Slumbering Watch, a mythical society that believed the purest form of protection was stillness. They trained in the art of intentional dozing, where the body remained fully aware while the spirit wandered the dreaming realm, intercepting nightmares, disarming anxieties, and polishing stray stars. Some believe the turtle was their last master. Others say he never trained at all. He simply did what turtles do best, and the universe followed suit. You find a cushion nearby shaped like a folded pancake and take a seat. The sun, if it can be called that here, sinks lower into a buttery haze. The temple begins to murmur, soft chants in no known language, just syllables shaped like yawns. As you sit, a procession approaches from one of the long corridors. Tiny creatures, perhaps mice or something mousier, march slowly in pairs, each wearing a little pillow on its head. They form a perfect spiral around the sundial and bow in unison. A larger mouse, possibly a very sleepy capybara in disguise, steps forward, clears his throat with a tremendous wheeze, and begins to sing. Not a melody, but a bedtime fact. "Did you know," he says, "that in the Whispering Sands, turtles are believed to snore secrets into the dunes? Whole cities have been founded by following those murmured maps." The others gasp appreciatively, then settle onto tiny floor mats and instantly fall asleep. You smile. The entire scene is too soft to be real, but here, softness is reality. You lie back again, head resting on the pancake cushion, and let your gaze drift upward. The sky above is filled with floating symbols, faint, rotating, like dreams that haven't quite decided what they want to become. An hourglass that forgets to count, a feather that weighs a mountain, a moon shaped like a croissant. And somewhere in that gently turning world, a glowing tortoise constellation blinks sleepily, then nestles deeper into the stars. A breeze picks up, barely enough to stir the edge of your robe, and you hear a sound like a sentence spoken backwards underwater. You are safe while he sleeps. You don't know where it comes from, but you believe it. And so you stretch out, arms loose, mind looser still. A bell somewhere chimes a note that might be F sharp. Or maybe it's just the sound of someone finishing a perfect nap. You sigh, and the temple sighs with you. A perfect harmony. The sigh of the temple lingers, soft as silk unspooling in the dark. And when you rise again, or rather, when you float into the next moment, you are somewhere new. Though the change is so gentle, it feels like simply rolling over in bed. You're now in a library, but not the kind you know. Here, The shelves are made of layered sandstone and driftwood, stacked into curling spires like cinnamon rolls. The books, if you can call them that, come in all shapes. Some are wrapped scrolls, tucked inside sleeping gourds. Others are folded origami stories kept in glass jars. A few hang from strings like wind chimes of memory. The air is thick with the scent of parchment, warm clay, and sleepy thoughts. You step softly. The floor murmurs in reply. A low shh that isn't warning you, just encouraging you to take your time. A small owl in spectacles dozes atop a stack of dream journals. She opens one eye briefly as you pass, then tucks her head back beneath her wing. The turtle is here too. Of course he is. He rests in the center of the library atop a giant book, its leather cover so well loved it looks like a hill of suede. His head rests on one of the pages, and the words flow around his cheek, reshaping themselves to avoid disturbing his nap. You notice something strange about the texts here. They're written in a language that you begin to understand the longer you stare. Not with your mind, but with your body. One scroll makes your shoulders relax, another whispers into your knees. A fat purple book resting on a cushion somehow massages your jaw. They are books of rest. Not about rest, of it. You select a small volume bound in mist and sit beside the turtle, letting your back rest against the warm spine of an oversized encyclopedia of size. When you open your book, nothing is printed. Instead, your own thoughts begin to fade into it, words drifting from your head like steam. As each memory leaves, you realize they weren't especially important. The location of a missing sock, the face of someone you only met once, a tune that had annoyed you last week. All gently cataloged by the book and gently let go. This library doesn't just collect stories, it collects the weight of stories. Memories you don't need, ones that clutter the soft corners of your mind, are offered a place to rest. Not forgotten, just shelved for later, if ever. A sign above one spiral of shelves reads, "Here rest the daydreams left behind by busy minds. Borrow freely. Return only if you wish." You peek inside one bottle-shaped story and see a scene playing like a tiny stage. A baker in a cloud oven shaping pastries from weather. Another shows a boy trying to teach time how to whistle. Each one is a piece of someone's almost forgotten fantasy, preserved in drowsy amber. As you explore further, you discover a section marked Myths That Never Made It. Here, the scrolls are brittle and beautiful. One tells of a fish who tried to dream the desert into the sea. Another speaks of a yawn so wide it became a canyon. And one, written in spiraling golden ink, recounts the tale of a turtle who guarded a sacred temple not by standing watch, but by never waking. You pause. That one sounds very familiar. You reach out and touch it, and as your fingers brush the parchment, the walls of the library pulse softly, almost like a heartbeat. The lights dim to twilight. And then, a voice, not loud, not startling, but like someone talking through a thick quilt, whispers into the air. Every guardian must choose their method. Some wield swords, others wield slumber. A gentle hush follows. Somewhere, a book closes itself with a satisfied thump. Dust motes spiral like sleepy fireflies. You settle back into your cushion and let your eyes grow heavy. You begin to wonder, perhaps the turtle never meant to guard anything. Perhaps the act of sleeping in the temple was enough to become its guardian. That kind of peace, it reshapes things, makes walls thicker, air softer, thoughts slower. It's no wonder no danger ever makes it inside, because nothing loud can survive here for long. As your head droops to one side, you hear the turtle let out another long, low snore. Books rustle in appreciation. Somewhere, a shelf rearranges itself with a satisfied stretch. The temple is breathing again, and so are you. The transition this time is barely noticeable, like slipping one dream into another without even waking. The library's warmth fades, and in its place comes a faint chill, not unpleasant, but enough to stir your skin just slightly. You find yourself drifting through a hallway carved not from stone, but from moonlight and compressed yawns. The walls shimmer faintly, the way candle wax looks just before it cools. You run your fingers along them and they ripple, not quite solid, not quite smoke. Each ripple hums a sleepy tune, some ancient lullaby long forgotten by daylight. At the end of the hallway stands a doorway made of stacked pillows. They part obligingly when you approach, revealing what must be the most unusual courtyard you've seen yet. It is snowing here, but the snow is made of ash from burnt-out thoughts, Soft, weightless flakes fall in slow spirals, evaporating on contact with your shoulders. The air is scented with warm milk and old paper. In the center of the courtyard, a circular pool glows gently. It doesn't reflect the sky, it reflects dreams. Each time you blink, the surface changes. Now a child flying a kite made of stars. Now a horse sipping tea in a coat of clouds. Now a cat napping inside the mouth of a friendly volcano. And beside this pool, the turtle. He's there again, floating on his back in the lukewarm water like a mossy boat. His limbs dangle lazily, his eyes half-lidded in a state of perfect contentment. Around his shell drift candles on tiny lily pads, each flickering with a different color and mood. You approach slowly, and your steps disturb nothing. Even your shadow, as you glance down, seems to walk more slowly than you do. You settle by the pool, feet dangling into the dream water. It's warm, not wet, and feels like liquid velvet. You glance into it and see, for the briefest moment, your own dream flicker across the surface, something involving an umbrella that sings and a staircase made of bread. You don't remember dreaming it, but it feels familiar. Nearby, a creature with the body of a lizard and the whiskers of a whale sweeps the courtyard using a broom made from old feathers and sighs. Each time he finishes one corner, he forgets he's done it, and starts again with visible satisfaction. He hums to himself a sleepy fact. In the dunes of drowsing, it is said that the only reliable compass is the direction your body naturally leans when you're almost asleep. You nod? That checks out. As you watch, the turtle drifts slightly toward the pool's edge, bumping against a smooth stone that glows faintly on contact. It's engraved with ancient glyphs, none you've studied, yet somehow you understand. It says, "Here, rest is a kind of spell, one that protects not with walls, but with warmth." You turn your gaze skyward. Above, there are clouds, but not ordinary ones. These are shaped like animals in mid-sleep, a curled-up fox, a napping deer, a bear wearing a crown of moss. They move in slow orbits, as if pulled by invisible tides of dream stuff. A wind stirs your hair, and you hear, somewhere just out of reach, a soft chorus singing in a language that feels more emotional than linguistic. It brushes your mind like a forgotten lullaby from childhood, the one someone once hummed while brushing sleep into your scalp. The water beside you begins to form words. Just for a moment. You read them before they dissolve. What is guarded cannot always be seen. Sometimes it's a feeling that nothing can break. You think of that. You think of the turtle. You think of how little he's done, and yet how thoroughly safe you felt ever since arriving. It's strange, isn't it? In so many stories, the guardians are sharp, loud, imposing. But here, the guardian slumbers. And somehow, that's enough. You stretch out on the smooth stones beside the pool. The dream flakes continue to fall, dusting your clothes with warmth. You yawn, and the sky responds with a wider, longer one. You wonder, maybe this courtyard only appears when someone is ready to surrender their last scrap of urgency. The moment you finally say, "I don't need to understand everything right now," that's when the dream pool reveals itself. The turtle floats on, drifting lazily in a circle, and slowly, the dreams in the pool begin to merge into something new. You can't see what it is, but you know it's still growing. The courtyard begins to dissolve, not in the way things melt or vanish, but in the gentle, almost absent-minded way that fog forgets where it's been. The dream pool shimmers one last time, offering you a wink made of ripples, and then the world tilts softly sideways. You find yourself now on the back stairs of the temple, an odd little place where steps coil upward and downward like ribbon candy. But no matter which way you go, you always arrive somewhere. Restful. Each stair is different. Some are carpeted in moss, others in old quilt squares or spongy lavender. A few emit a low, purring sound when stepped on. You test one and it hums an old sea shanty in a voice like molasses. You don't know where you're going, and for once, that's perfectly fine. Halfway along a downward spiral, you find the turtle again, this time squeezed inside a hammock shaped like a giant tea bag. His shell pokes out slightly, and he snores a tune that makes the stairwell hum in harmony. Dangling beside him, a series of signs swing lazily from the ceiling. They read, "This way to the chamber of cozy arguments. Nap here if you forgot why you were busy. Careful, dreams ferment as they descend." You follow the turtle's snores until you reach a small round door. It opens of its own accord, just a crack, just enough for you to slip through without thinking too hard. Inside is the Chamber of Ancient Sleepers. It's like a planetarium, but instead of stars, the ceiling is dotted with gently breathing cocoons. Some are enormous, perhaps holding dreams the size of villages. Others are no larger than marbles, glowing faintly with drowsy importance. A plaque near the entrance reads, "These are the sleepers who dreamed the myths that never needed telling." You wander among them, barefoot now, the floor so soft it seems to exhale with every step. You pass a cocoon shaped like a violin, vibrating faintly. Another hums the scent of cinnamon. One has a little flag poking out of it that reads, "Do not wake, currently imagining a forest that smells like rain cake." The turtle is in the center of the room now, but he's not sleeping, he's just resting. His eyes are open, half-lidded, wise in a way that makes time slow down around him. You approach, and he raises his head the tiniest fraction. A pause. Then he speaks, his voice the slow curl of steam rising from a midnight mug. "Everything you've seen is kept safe not because I guard it, but because no one comes to disturb it when I sleep." You blink. It's the first time he's spoken aloud. You wait, breath held, but he closes his eyes again, satisfied with his one-sentence sermon. A sleepy breeze passes through the chamber, rustling the cocoons. Somewhere, a bell chimes, once, then again, but not in warning, more like a bedtime reminder. Like the world itself gently whispering, "You're doing fine. It's okay to rest now." You settle beside a cocoon shaped like a pillow made from forgotten lullabies. It glows gently when you sit, as if pleased with your decision. As your head leans back, the myths begin to hum, not loudly, just enough to let you know they're still there, still unwritten, still safe. One of them begins to whisper to you. Some say there's a sea underneath the desert, and it only appears when no one is looking for it. Another chimes in. Others claim the temple once had a bell that only rang in people's dreams to tell them when to stop worrying. And still another. A turtle once napped so long, the mountain forgot how to be awake and became a hill instead. You close your eyes, not to sleep, just to listen better. Somewhere far off, perhaps outside the story entirely, something shifts. Not abruptly, just turns over in its sleep. You wonder how many dreams have happened in this temple before yours. You wonder how many stories have rested here, too shy or too quiet to be told anywhere else. You wonder, and the wondering is enough. By now, the temple no longer feels like a building. It's more like an idea that's chosen to settle around you, an idea draped in sandstone and silence and soft, continual sighs. You drift onward. The Chamber of Ancient Sleepers fades behind you, its glow reduced to the pulse of a memory, and you emerge into a new space without needing to stand or walk. It's like floating downstream with your eyes half closed. This room is called the Atrium of Forgotten Footsteps, and the air here is heavier, but in a comforting, blanket-like way. You know the name because it's stitched in glowing thread across the sky. The floor is carpeted with sand, but unlike the desert's hot grit, this sand is cool and fine, like sifted sugar at twilight. It holds no footprints. In fact, as you step, your tracks vanish behind you almost instantly. A breeze passes through, and instead of whistling or rustling, it sounds like someone gently brushing pages of a long book. Not reading, just feeling. Here and there you see impressions in the air, faded silhouettes of people and creatures that must have passed long ago. They hover like gentle after-images, walking nowhere in particular, barely more solid than steam. You realize these are footsteps that wanted to be forgotten. Some of the figures are quite strange. There's a goat in scholar's robes arguing with a tree stump that floats 3 inches off the ground. There's a procession of sleeping camels, each carrying a different flavor of silence on its back. And there's a girl with stars in her hair, looking for a turtle. You pause. That last one feels oddly familiar. The turtle is here too, of course. Not walking, not floating, not even lying down this time. Just present, settled into a shallow dish of powdered moonstone, his eyes completely closed, his limbs tucked in, his whole form like a soft punctuation mark on the sentence of the world. Around him, small creatures gather. They are not loud, not bright, not obvious. One is a beetle made of incense smoke. Another is a dust-colored rabbit wearing a watch that ticks backward. And one, nearly invisible, is a sliver of dream shaped like a forget-me-not flower. They sit near the turtle not for answers, but simply to be. In his presence, questions soften and dissolve like sugar cubes in warm tea. The wind hums again. A sleepy fact floats past. It is said that when a creature naps in a place long enough, the walls reshape themselves to match its dreams. You look around and it makes sense. The temple feels like a dream the turtle is having about guarding the temple. Or maybe, the temple is dreaming the turtle? Hard to say, and wonderfully unimportant. Somewhere in the sand, something begins to grow. A tiny plant, no larger than a button, pokes up between your toes. It shimmers with a faint blue glow, swaying though there is no wind. You crouch down. Its petals are etched with words, tiny ones. You squint, and they say, "You are welcome to stay as long as you need. Nothing will move too quickly here." And beneath that, some guests never leave and become part of the temple's hush. You sit beside the turtle again. You've done this before, and will again. He does not wake, but his breath deepens as if acknowledging your presence. There is a sense here that nothing urgent can reach you. Not emails, not alarms, not regrets or anxieties. Even time itself seems embarrassed to intrude. You wonder, how many people have wandered into this story, thinking it was just another tale, only to discover it was a place they already half remembered? How many thought they were coming here to learn something, but stayed to forget what never mattered? The beetle curls into a smoky spiral. The dust rabbit tips its backwards watch toward you, and the flower sighs. You settle deeper into the sand. Not asleep, not awake, just right. You drift. No destination in mind, just following the hum of stillness, like a thread pulled through fog. And then, almost as if you'd asked for it without realizing, you arrive at a vast circular hall, roofless and open to the stars. But the stars are not above you. They are below, twinkling through a floor made of shimmering glass. 1,000 galaxies sparkle beneath your bare feet. This is the Hall of Ceaseless Night, a place where no sun has ever risen, nor needed to. It is not dark here. In fact, the night is lit with a gentle silver luminescence, like the inside of a seashell left out under moonlight. The ceiling is invisible, if it even exists. The air smells faintly of cloves, moss, and the memory of lullabies sung underwater. You take a step. The floor chimes like soft wind bells. The constellations beneath your feet shift in response, realigning themselves with your presence. Each step a note, each movement a rearrangement of the stars. In the center of the room, the turtle sleeps again, this time atop a throne made entirely of folded dreams. They look like paper cranes and parchment whales, held together by threads of kindness, slowness, and soft snores. He snores once. The throne rearranges itself to accommodate the sound. Around him, dream keepers float gently by, mildly translucent beings wearing cloaks made from forgotten stories. Some look like librarians, others like oversized cats made of parchment. One has a head shaped like a teacup with steam still rising from it. They whisper as they pass, and though the language is not yours, you somehow understand. The turtle once slept so soundly, the night stopped changing. He dreams in chapters, but never in order. To wake him would be to rearrange the sky itself. You sit on the floor, on a comet's tail that has politely curled into a cushion, and gaze into the star map beneath you. Somewhere down there, a tortoise-shaped constellation flickers softly. You try to trace the stars with your finger, but they wriggle playfully away. One settles near your palm, pulsing a color that has no name, only a feeling. Safe, like a sigh you didn't know you were holding. From above, or maybe from within, you hear a voice like a long-forgotten harp. When a myth gets too sleepy to be told aloud, it becomes a place. The temple is one such place. The turtle is another. You smile. That checks out. In a corner of the hall, a tiny door opens by itself. From it steps a creature shaped like a question mark, wearing tiny shoes that squeak when it walks. It waddles up to you, bows, and offers you a tray with a cup of midnight tea. You sip. It tastes like blueberries and soft endings. The turtle shifts, just slightly. One eye opens for the briefest flicker. You glimpse galaxies in it. A long blink later, it's closed again, but not before a single thought drifts across the room like a feather. You're not lost. You're wandering correctly. You lie down now, stretched across the stars. A meteor hums a lullaby in the distance. And as the temple breathes, so do you. Not because you must, but because it feels so good to do something slowly. You awaken, not suddenly, not sharply. More like a leaf drifting sideways until it settles in a pool of still water. But you haven't really awakened, have you? You're still within the temple, or perhaps the temple is within you now. It's hard to tell anymore, and it doesn't matter. You rise, or maybe you just find yourself upright in a new room. It's narrow and long, like a hallway inside a seashell, spiraling slowly as it stretches onward. The walls glisten as if lined with sleepy dew. 1,000 tiny wind chimes hang from above, made from sand dollar fragments and starlight threaded beads. They tinkle faintly when you pass, as though gossiping in the gentlest voices. A brass plaque on the wall introduces this space: the Corridor of Forgotten Errands. Oh, of course. It smells faintly of unfinished lists and lavender tea. Here, hovering beside the walls, are soft orbs, like bubbles made of cloud. Each contains a floating image, something left undone, a chore half remembered, a to-do that never really mattered but insisted on its own importance for a while. You pass one orb. Inside it, a dusty parchment labeled "Return that one library book, eventually." Another floats by, lazily twirling. It shows someone standing in a kitchen, holding a spoon and squinting as they try to remember what they were making. Somewhere, a sleepy voice mumbles, "Oh, right. I meant to water the fern." And then the thought pops like a soap bubble, gone with a puff of mint-scented air. You smile. This corridor isn't sad. It's peaceful. There's a strange comfort in knowing that not everything has to be done. Some things are allowed to float away. Near the far end of the hallway, you find the turtle again, curled up in a soft divot carved into the floor, shaped exactly like him, as if the temple knew he'd nap here someday. This time, he's not alone. A second creature sleeps beside him, head tucked under one flipper. A baby turtle, shell still shiny with the shimmer of just-hatched myths. You sit quietly. They do not wake, but they do shift slightly, as if acknowledging your nearness. Above their heads, a small mural glows softly on the wall. It shows scenes you recognize. A turtle sleeping beside a glowing dream pool. A star map shifting under sleepy feet. A temple guarding itself by forgetting to be found. And in the center of the mural, you. Not exactly you, of course, but close enough. Someone wandering, someone wondering, someone who came looking for a story and found the quiet between stories instead. The mural flickers once and adds a line of glowing script beneath your feet. Those who linger kindly may stay as long as they like. You settle into a nearby cushion shaped like a curled-up cat made of fog. Somewhere, a bell rings once. Just once. You exhale. A soft wind drifts through, carrying one last sleepy fact. In the desert temple, it is said the moon sometimes forgets to rise, not out of neglect, but because it too gets caught up napping beneath the stars. The chimes above your head tinkle in agreement, and the orb nearest you pops softly, releasing a scent of unfinished letters and stories that never needed endings. The temple shifts again, not with motion, but with mood. You're no longer in a corridor or a chamber. Now it feels like you've stepped into a thought the temple once had, but forgot to finish. And so it lingered, half-shaped and endlessly gentle. The space is misty, not foggy, just soft around the edges, like a dream rubbed between sleepy fingers. You find yourself walking across a bridge that wasn't there before. It's made of sleepwalkers' footsteps and old lullabies, stitched together into something solid enough to hold you, but not so solid that it forgets how to sway. Below you, silence. Above you, silence with stars sprinkled in. You think, idly, how far up am I? But then the thought yawns and lies down, deciding not to worry about it after all. Midway across the bridge, you see the turtle again. This time he's floating slightly above the planks, wrapped in a shawl made of forgotten melodies. Each note curls and sways like a sleeping cat's tail. He opens one eye halfway, then closes it again. Even his glances seem like naps. You sit beside him, on nothing in particular, and notice something unusual. The bridge is lined with dozens of doors, small and peculiar, like entries to rooms that never finished being imagined. Each one has a name. You read some aloud, quietly. The room of slightly mismatched socks. The den of lost names, first ones only. Gallery of paintings that fell asleep halfway through being painted. The pantry of eternal midnight snacks. One door opens briefly by itself. Inside is a single glowing orange, perfectly round. No explanation. You nod. That makes sense. Another door opens. Inside, an elderly centaur playing a harp to a field of sleeping pumpkins. He waves once, then disappears as the door clicks shut. The turtle hums, not a melody, more a vibration, and the bridge gently shifts course. The temple isn't leading you anywhere. It's wandering with you. The turtle murmurs a question, or maybe it's a statement. What would happen if we stopped needing destinations? And then he's asleep again, like a switch gently flicked off. You realize that the temple isn't a place you get through. It's a place you let yourself dissolve into. There's no map, no goal, no final challenge or truth to uncover. Only cozy mysteries and patient surprises. You pass a door that reads, "Waiting room for forgotten plot twists." Inside, a fox sipping tea with a pair of talking curtains. The fox says, "I suppose we'll get used someday." The curtains nod. Or we won't. You keep walking. The bridge begins to narrow, not in danger, not in haste, just gently reminding you that everything, even wandering, must curl inward eventually. A sleepy fact hums in the air. Many temples were once stories, and many stories will one day become turtles. It sounds absurd. It sounds perfect. You lean on the railing of the bridge and gaze downward. There's no ground, only the soft impression of ground that once meant something. Like remembering a childhood park and realizing you don't know if it ever really existed, but the memory is still lovely. A warm breeze swirls past you and whispers. Some say the turtle guards the temple. Others believe the temple dreams of being guarded. You no longer care which is true. You simply smile and continue. The bridge vanishes behind you. Not all at once, just quietly. With each step forward, the planks you've crossed blink out of existence like yawns closing into silence. You don't feel alarmed. In fact, you find it rather polite of the temple to clean up after itself. You've arrived in a glade. Yes, a glade. Despite being underground or perhaps above everything or possibly nowhere specific at all, this part of the temple has grown trees. They're not ordinary trees. Their trunks are braided from scrolls of ancient bedtime stories. Their branches hung with feathers from birds that only nest in dreams. The leaves hum lullabies, each one a different language, most of them forgotten even by the wind. The clearing pulses with a soft light, not bright, not showy, the kind of glow that glows because it has nothing better to do. A small pond lies at the center, rimmed with stones that look suspiciously like curled-up cats. A few blink lazily as you pass, and beside the pond, there he is again, the turtle. He's stretched long now, basking under an invisible sun. His shell bears etchings that weren't there before, tiny carvings that resemble doorways, stars, teacups, a bridge made of footsteps, and you, a carving of you, sitting quietly beside him. You join him once again, no words, just presence. He exhales. The pond ripples. From it rises a shimmer, not quite water, not quite air, coalescing into a being made of translucent parchment and golden ink. It has no face, only the vague outline of a librarian made of memory. It speaks gently, though not aloud. Would you like to see your journey so far? You nod. Or maybe your thoughts nod for you. The being gestures toward the pond. Within its surface, the water replays moments like softly shuffled pages. You stumbling into the temple under a sky full of heat and hush. The secret marketplace that traded in size, the turtle's nap beside the dream pool, the corridors, the stars, the dream keepers, the odd doors. A version of yourself walking calmly, even when nothing made sense. Each image floats, then fades, then floats again. Somewhere in the background, a familiar, sleepy fact hums. Memory is not a path, it's a pond. You touch it, and the ripples decide what comes. You look toward the turtle. He's watching now, not with urgency, but with infinite patience. His eyes are galaxies again, but softer now, like they've just woken from a 1,000-year nap and don't plan on getting up anytime soon. You reach out and touch the water. It's warm, slightly fizzy, like a whispered giggle in liquid form. The images shift. Now you see other wanderers, hundreds, maybe thousands, all having their own versions of this journey. Some are foxes, some are cloud beings. One is a very confused chair, and in each one, the turtle is there, not central, just present, guarding nothing and everything. A breeze picks up. The leaves in the story trees sing a lullaby about a mountain that grew tired of standing and decided to nap sideways, becoming a valley instead. The parchment being dips a quill into your pond and begins to write your name across the sky. Each letter twinkles for a moment, then dissolves into soft mist. You whisper, "What happens now?" The being tilts its head. Whatever happens next will happen slowly. And with that, it bows and sinks back into the pond like a forgotten dream sliding back under your pillow. The turtle yawns. The sky dims, but not because night has come. More like everything has decided to dim itself gently so you don't feel rushed to leave. You lie down. The grass beneath you is made of unspoken stories, cool and rustling like pages that never needed to be read. The turtle inches closer, still silent, still heavy with sleep, and rests one flipper gently over your foot. It feels like being shelled in kindness. You don't remember falling asleep, but you must have. Because now you're dreaming inside a dream, and even the temple seems to be tiptoeing around your thoughts. You awaken, or maybe just shift, in a room so quiet it hums. There are no walls, only curtains, tall and slow moving, each one woven from the softest moment in someone's life. A baby's first yawn, a grandmother humming while shelling peas, a fox curling into its tail beside a glowing lantern. The curtains part gently to let you through. Inside is a round chamber shaped like the inside of a bell, not one meant to ring, but one meant to hold silence like a treasure. In the center lies the turtle, now as enormous as a hill and half buried in cushions made of forgotten bedtime prayers. You climb up onto his shell without thinking. It feels like walking across time itself, ancient and soft and deeply patient. The turtle is still asleep, or perhaps he's just dreaming with his eyes closed. Around you, the temple reveals its final form. Not a place of secrets, but a place of release. A place where the stories that no longer need to be remembered can rest. A sanctuary not just for myths, but for the space between myths. On the inner walls of the chamber, phrases begin to appear, glowing faintly in a spiral that slowly turns as you read. Here rest the riddles no longer needed. This is the end of the map and the start of stillness. The turtle guards by forgetting. The temple endures by remembering nothing urgently. Some say the sand in the desert sings lullabies to passing stars. And some say this whole tale was a nap shared between dreamers. You exhale. The words fade as you read them, curling into the hush. Then the turtle speaks, without sound. It's more like the earth thinking softly in your direction. You can stay if you'd like, but you've also already stayed, and also not yet. The room shifts into something even quieter. It feels like the moment just before snow falls, or the breath you take when reading the final line of a well-loved book. Then, softly, the turtle raises one eyelid halfway and gives you a single blink. A blink that says, it's okay to stop seeking for a while. You curl up on his shell. No questions, no conclusions. Just a deep, full-body sigh that starts somewhere near your toes and echoes all the way through your spine. The temple exhales with you, and everything goes still. Not gone, just stilled. Like tea left to steep longer than expected, until it tastes like something warm and wordless. Above you, the ceiling, if it is a ceiling, opens into a sky that doesn't ask anything of you. And as your eyelids grow heavy, the final sleepy fact of the story arrives like a whisper curled in wool. Some say the turtle is still napping there, guarding nothing, by dreaming everything. And perhaps if you ever return, though you might already be here, he'll still be dozing, one flipper over the key to a door no one remembers locking. Now everything slows. The temple fades, not with loss, but with comfort. Its colors soften, its walls dim. The turtle sleeps, and the dream around him deepens. Your breath slows too. The glade of story trees becomes a blur of soft green and silver, like watercolor brushed across the back of your mind. You're no longer walking, you're drifting, gently like mist rolling down a hill with nowhere urgent to go. Time loosens its grip. The stars blink slower. Even your thoughts begin to curl up like kittens, quiet and warm. The magical doors and whispering corridors, the sleepy markets and dreaming pools all sigh together and melt into the hush. The turtle is a distant hill now, resting under a sky that stretches forever. And you're part of it, not separate, not a visitor anymore. You are folded into the soft myth of this place, breathing, resting, belonging. And if a question comes, you let it float past, like a leaf you don't need to catch. The kind of question that never wanted an answer, just a place to nap in peace. So stay here a while longer if you'd like. Let the hush hold you. Let the turtle guard your dreams, not fiercely, but gently, like a shell drawn over a sleepy smile. There's no rush to return. The temple waits, always napping, always dreaming. And somewhere inside it, so do you.